Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Subconscious Expert. I'm very excited because I have one of my gorgeous one to one clients with me today, the beautiful Evie. I've already given her a stellar introduction, but welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. My mum messaged me. She was like, "Oh my God, you're going to be on Beck's podcast." I was like, "Yes, I am." So, yeah, very excited.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love your mom as well. So we will dive in and kind of let the listeners, let the viewers know what was going on for you before we started working together. I know you very quickly came into my world, really, didn't you? It was literally like bish, bash, bosh, and in you were. And I love it. I absolutely loved it. But let us know kind of what was going on for you from like a subconscious mindset point of view, how the business was feeling when we started working together.
Yeah, so as you said, I jumped in very quickly. I kind of binged the podcast, binged the content, we had a one-to-one call, then into the membership, and then I was like, fuck it,
Let's go.
let's just do the full thing. So yeah, before I started working with you, I was in a really, really strange space. I'd started to properly get into mindset work, but it was very much a case of like, I'd do it, then something would go wrong, and I'd be back to square one and back to the frenzy, back to the panic, back to the overwhelm. And I was just stuck in that cycle of just being so all over the place, the like frantic energy. It was just so high. I was constantly felt like always on edge, like, oh, something's going to go wrong. um just wasn't running my business or my life in the way that felt good. So that's when I reached out to you because, like, look, what you're saying is me. You have described me in 1,000 posts now. Take my money because I need your wisdom. And yeah, so it was a very different place to where I am now. And I literally had to message you to ask, can you send me the notes from where we started? Because I don't remember. It feels like such a different world.
Yeah, and how you were kind of showing up. I remember there was such a big belief around like this hustle culture and like constantly being constantly working, constantly answering clients back. Like I know you were like, Beck, I literally like hover over the thing and read them on the weekends. And I know I shouldn't be like all of these things were happening because you felt that you had to do more or like produce more or be more in order to kind of get to where you wanted to go. And that was coming from a lot of, I suppose, experiences that you'd had in the past, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That belief.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the industry that I'm in, it's very hard hustle culture. It's very bro marketing. It's very DMs, sales calls. And I think I was so like accustomed to that, but also so hated it that it was just a constant sabotage cycle of like I'd do something well and then I would go back to square one because I was burnt the hell out. So yeah.
Yeah. And that was kind of almost driving the, well, okay, if I want to scale and I want to get to the next level and it has to be done that way, like I don't want to know kind of thing, wasn't it? Like I can't physically keep this up. What was bringing the burnout in so much? That feeling of what was it that was bringing that in?
I think I would go through cycles of being like, yeah, I'm so motivated now. Let's get amped up on caffeine, like all the adrenaline, like, fuck yeah, I'm going to take over the world. And I would work, like, work and work and work. And if we actually looked at it, I wasn't working. I was, looking at resources and thinking that I was learning. And I think I messaged you one time. I was like, I bought more planners and just doing nothing with. I still haven't used that planner, by the way. But just doing nothing with them, but thinking that I was doing a load of work and just mentally driving myself into the ground with the amount of overthinking, the amount of decision fatigue, the amount of constant thoughts going through my brain was just burning me out every few weeks. And I just was so done with the cycle, like so done with the cycle of working 12-hour days every day, but not actually getting anything done or moving forwards. And then again, the exhaustion from like, I feel like I'm doing so much, but nothing's working. And I think that was the big, like, okay, I need to make a change now.
Yeah. And I think like I see so many people do that, like the frustration of like, I am putting my heart and fucking soul into everything right now and nothing's coming to fruition. And I think like the moment that you almost step back, and I know we'll go into like a couple of the big beliefs that we worked on and how that shifted for you. But I think the moment that you step back, you were like, wow, like I am literally filling my time with, I kind of don't know what I'm filling my time with, but I'm constantly busy, weren't you? You were constantly working. And I think a lot of that was tied into the beliefs that were going on around that and how you felt that you had to show up to be successful. And I think just us starting to unravel that, which was pretty much the first thing we did together, wasn't it? Really,
Yeah.
from like a belief point of view, we didn't go into any strategy. We didn't go into like any, right, let's sort this out or do this. It was like, no, you've already got pretty much everything you need. Let's have a look at how you're actually showing up to the business. So, when we got started, what was kind of the first couple of beliefs or things that we started to shift that really started to have a bit of a external, tangible difference for you in the business? Can you remember?
So I know one of them, definitely for sure, was I was doing a lot of DMs, a lot of outreach. And what would then happen is I would have like 10 consultation calls booked and be like, oh my God, I am amazing. Obviously, bit of validation, like
Yeah.
all of the validation that I needed at the time. And then on those calls, I would be so anxious and they maybe wouldn't sign up for one reason or another. And then I know we did a lot of work on this around the rejection. And then I felt like it was a personal against me. I felt
Mm,
fully rejected. I felt like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. It's me. And then just going into a really negative cycle on myself, like, oh, come on, like, you've got these calls booked, you should be signing them up. You're not had this really weird perception that I has to be further ahead all the time. Like, you're not far, you're not doing enough, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
So I know a huge one that we worked on. I think that was actually the first call that we did was around the rejection and feeling when, even if somebody would turn away or their body language wasn't quite how I wanted it to be, I would make that mean something about me and I would take it so personally. And I remember one of the biggest things that you said, probably not the biggest, but one of the things you said that really stood out to me was when I was telling you about that and how rejected I felt. And I thought it was all in my mind. I thought, okay, we just need this little mindset fix and then you'll be done. And you were like, well, if you feel rejected on these calls, why do you keep messaging people? Like, you're like, you're trying to get people on calls that maybe don't want to be on calls, and that's why you feel rejected. I was like, huh. And since that day, the cold DMs went.
The cold DMs went and the attraction marketing started. Yeah. And I think you like, it was having such an impact on you from, like you said, like literally a look away or a physical shift in their face, which probably had nothing to do with you. Like they were like just pros, how people look really bored when
Yeah.
you're like delivering a Zoom call and stuff, but they're not bored. They're like taking information in. And I think it was like having such an impact on then how you carried on showing up for the call, but then equally at the end, how you sold and how that looked like for you. And I think that was just such a huge detachment for you and your brand. And I know it's really hard when you have a personal brand and you are standing as your name and you are standing as yourself and you are selling you to an extent. I know you're selling a service, but I find so many people attach their full worth, their full everything, their full success, their full identity, good enough, all of those things onto people signing or people saying yes. And I think the moment that we detach from that, I think, and then you had like a series of holidays where you were just constantly on holiday. But what happened was you were just such in the energy of like, well, this is how it is now. Like people come to me, I can create content which allows people to come through the door. And I remember you messaging me being like, should I just go on holiday all the time? Because this is amazing. Like, I love this.
Because literally every time I went on holiday, and I went on 4 holidays in 4 months, which I've got,
She's like, I'm off again.
I'm off again. See ya. And funnily enough, every single time I went on holiday, I would have more inquiries. And I was like, why is this happening? And I think when you explained it to me that I was just in a bit more of an energy of ease, like not forcing the outcome, not refreshing my Instagram. Why has no one inquired? Why has no one inquired? I was just enjoying my holiday, enjoying my time with family. Even if I was less present on social media, I was still just enjoying myself. And as you said, that really helped me showcase who I am as a person rather than just, sales or coaching, like
Mhm.
who I am, what do I enjoy outside of fitness, outside of health. And yeah, maybe I need to book another holiday.
She's like, "I'm in. Let's go." And then I think the other really big shift that I saw with you was to, and I remember exactly where I was when you messaged me this. I was on a walk. I was like, I don't know exactly where I was on the walk when you messaged me this, but you were like, yeah, it's not the strategy, is it? Where you kind of had that moment of realization of like, oh yeah, I think like I know you've said it 100 times, but today I just know that I think it's not the strategy, it's how I'm showing up for the business. How did that feel when you started to have that realization? Because you'd been in the like, learn more, do more, more memberships, more this, more that, hadn't you? Whereas like you started to see the evidence of you working on yourself and that having the impact on the success of your business.
100%. It was so weird to have that kind of breakthrough. Like, especially if anyone listens to this, like, isn't inherently from the mindset world, when you come from a very, like, fitness is so hustle culture, so hustle culture. That's it. It's an entirety. It's everyone who can outwork who. And
Yeah.
when you come from that world and then you come into like, oh, we take weekends off here. And I was like, huh? We take weekends off? Like, what? We stop work at 6? What is that? And so when you were like, okay, we started doing more of the mindset work and kind of realizing like, okay, I'm doing the same amount. I'm putting the same amount of podcasts out, if less content, less stories. I'm spending less time on social media, refreshing, doing DMs, whatever. I'm spending less time doing that. And yet more people and better clients, better quality clients are coming through. I think that was the biggest one, was the
Yeah.
actual quality of people that I started bringing in. But it was such a strange time where I was like, whoa, this is strange. Like I get to be more as a human. I get to take some time off during the day. I can spend time with my grandma without feeling like, oh my God, I should be doing this work, that work, and still achieve the success that I wanted to. That was like an amazing, I think, yeah, it's just such an amazing moment to be able to detach from that really hustle, do more, do more, do more, to just enjoy the business that I've created.
Yeah, and I think like that's the, you almost need that evidence sometimes, don't you, when you're doing the subconscious work, because I know it is difficult to step into that and being like, right, what am I tangibly going to get out of this? I'm not sure. Like I'm open in my mind, but what's going to happen from it? And I think the moment that you started to see that the pressure, we took the pressure off quite a lot from you, and I think we're very similar, as most of my clients are to me. We're very hardworking. You're very tenacious. You're very dedicated. You want the best life. Like you wanted all of that, and I think the want for that and the drive that you have was being placed in the wrong place, which meant that you felt that you had to do more. And then when you started to see that, you were like, oh, I get to enjoy this. I actually get to enjoy my days. Like, okay. Like I get to enjoy this and the success is still there. It really made you have that moment of realization. And I think that's, you always have to experience that, don't you, to understand it. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I can't even explain like how it is, because I was so accustomed to, okay, you're going to have to work your ass off, very like Alex Hormozy-esque, like you're going to have to do everything. You're going to have to outwork everyone. You're going to have to do 10 times the work to get the success that you want to achieve. And then coming into your world and seeing, your clients and even you doing so well with not as intense of a
Mm.
mindset and having more ease. I was like, well, I want a piece of that. I want to chill. And even just the smallest things where, if you've not been in this industry of like the hustle, you probably don't know what I mean here, but like watching a film used to mean, okay, now we reply to DMs or we create content. So it was never just allowed to watch a film. Or cooking would also mean, okay, cooking, and we're also going to listen to a webinar and take notes. And there was never just I never just let myself be or just do one thing at a time. And it's freaking wonderful now because you know, the business continues to grow whilst also I get to enjoy my life way more. And as you said, you know, the pressure that I had on myself to achieve X months or whatever, it was always, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then you're going to be anxious and stressed all the time. And I think, as you've said kind of briefly, that was maybe repelling me from pushing or doing more or, you know, earning more money, because I was like, well, it's going to feel like shit. I'm going to be burnt out all the time, and I don't want that. So yeah, it was a great time moving into
It was
the
a great
teens.
realization. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that where your head goes of like, wow, if this is the amount of work I'm doing right now for this amount of money, if I want to double, triple, quadruple that, like what the hell, what am I going to be doing then? And that I think there was so much, you know, there was a lot of sabotage that was happening. You were sabotaging yourself a lot when we first started working together because you were so, when we really look at it, quite burnt out by the doing, by the hustle. And your brain was like, no, 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 like I can't handle that. I can't have more of that. And I think the more we started to unravel that it doesn't have to look that way, the more you have, you know, we added things. We added a big product suite. There was a lot of things that we actually added into your business, but without you freaking out when we got there. And I think, like I always say this to clients, especially when we're going through those up levels, which you did as we were working together, you know, you could carry on the way that you were. You could have, like, it's fine. You would have been okay. You would have handled it. You could have carried on exactly how you were, making the money, if not more. But how sustainable is that for the rest of your life? And it just wasn't, was it?
No, absolutely. I think you said something as well one time, and I think it was something along the lines of like, look, you want to earn this, and this is what you're currently earning. You're working 10 hours a day right now. Where is the extra time to do any more work? If that's what you perceive, you know, more time equals more money. Where's the extra time? Where are you going to find that from to get yourself there? And I think when you said that, and I realized like, oh, okay, well, I can't invest any more time into this because all my time's already there. So how can we make changes now so that I can achieve that? So yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. It was realizing like more isn't always more.
Yes, exactly. It's more intentional, which I think you really stepped into. And I know you said it a couple of minutes ago with really speaking to that type of client that you wanted to bring in. And I know that was like a huge shift for you in how you showed up and the authority that you showed up in, and then who you started to call in. And I know you had that time where you were like, oh, the clients that don't fit where I want to go anymore seem to all be dropping off and all, but like, and you were like, is this supposed to happen? But it was like, because you'd stepped into it so much, hadn't you? You were like, I'm just going to go with it. How did that feel when you started to see that shift?
I completely forgot about that until just now. That was so funny. Literally, I had maybe a good 6 or 7 clients from, you know, previous months that I'd gotten maybe, and they weren't the perfect fit. They were very much stuck in the victim. They were stuck, weren't open to receiving feedback, which is what coaching is. You know, it's continual feedback and working together, and they didn't want to work together. And I think within like a period of 4 weeks, they just all left. And I remember just being like, wait, like they've all gone.
What's
How have
happened?
they all gone? But then that made space for better clients to come through. And those better clients, you know, this was what, a few months ago, they're still with me, they're still thriving, they're getting better results than ever. And I went from having some, you know, with again in the fitness space, you end up with sometimes you can do 4 new clients, 2 will get an amazing result, 1 will get an okay result, and 1 might not be a good client at all. Now it's like, oh, that everybody coming in is going to get a great result and they're a great client, because there's no longer that I'm just bringing people in for the sake of getting another client. They're all so aligned, which is the biggest difference with what I'm doing now to what I was doing before. And it's great not having to chase people and to be like, please, could you just respond? Like after they ghosted you for a few weeks. It's
Yeah.
great having people that actively want to work with you and they want to do the work.
Yeah, because that was taking your energy as much as you kind of being in the hustle as well, wasn't it? You know, like, right, this person hasn't, like, this person's paid. Like, I want to deliver a good service. And how many times am I going to have to message them to like come and speak to me? Like it was, and I think like you seeing that shift, and it happened very organically, didn't it? It literally happened by you. We refined your message and you really stepping into that person that you wanted to attract. And I know then there was like the programs that you were putting out as well, and where they were and the pain points and everything. It was such a refinement in that. But to see you then go, oh my God, the energy that it was taking for you to hold that type of client was very different to the clients that you have now, wasn't it?
Absolutely. As a coach, my biggest goal is to get someone feeling good in themselves. And it's really hard. I'm not someone that can just like take someone's money and just like, oh, well, they're not going to put the work in, so I won't bother
Whatever.
with them.
Yeah.
Again, the rejection thing that we spoke about, I take it very personally. If
You're like,
somebody
I will get you a
I
result.
will get you a result because you've trusted in me, you've
Yeah.
paid your hard earned money. Like, I want to get you the best result possible. So, when people maybe stop responding or they just are not interested, or had one person, as you know, call me say that I was treating them like a child. And those things I take really personally because I'm like, oh, well, okay, I need to be a better coach then. That's on me. But now moving into clients that genuinely want to help, they want you to help them. It is like my job is so fun now. I don't open check-ins like, oh shit, is this going to be a
Yeah.
bad one?
Yeah.
Am I going to have to chase people up? Am I going to have to ring people to get them to respond? It's literally like, okay, we co-create. Like you do the work, I give you feedback, we make changes, we work together, and it is honestly like the best thing in the world that my job is now just full enjoyment. There's not that underlying anxiety and fear that I had before that someone was gonna, I don't know, complain or do a chargeback or something like that because they were unhappy. They're all clients now that I'm like, I'm good. We're good here.
I love that. Oh, I'm loving this reflection. I'm like, Christ, we did so much. Like,
Yeah.
and there's more and this and this. And I think like the other thing that I really wanted to speak into was the kind of intentionality, which brings back to like the clients and getting out of the hustle, because you really did step up into being the CEO, didn't you, during our time together, and like the intentionality and the fact that you do love working. And I think I remember having this conversation with you that I was like, I love working. Like, it's not a bad thing, but it's like, what are
Yeah.
we doing with that and the intentionality behind it? And, you know, you created a place where the coffee shop was more of a good working space for you, or bringing in those boundaries. Just how does the business look now? Like, how do you show up to the business now versus before we started working together?
Oh my God, what a great question. It's honestly so different because before I thought I was doing a lot of work, but I wasn't. Like you said, I have more programs now. I have more things going on. I have more content that I produce. I do more technically, like the output is higher, whilst working less hours. So, which is freaking wonderful. Before, I know we spoke about this a lot in depth when I started with you. It was like, wake up, 6 a.m., already in a panic. Okay, crap, need to respond to clients, need to get check-ins done. I'm already behind. Behind on what? Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't behind on anything, but it was just this underlying constant, again, fear of not doing enough, fear of being behind, fear of like running late, when that was all like completely, entirely manufactured in my head, and expectations I had. And what would happen is I would undersleep, I would overwork, I would wake up, I was in a frenzy, I would drink too much caffeine and just be in a crap place and just procrastinate so much. And even now, I do catch myself, going to buy the unnecessary courses that
Yeah.
we've spoken about before. But it's the ability now to be able to talk myself out of it and know, again, those are tools that you've given me, is to be able to go, okay, actually, I don't need this. Same with the procrastination. Am I procrastinating because this task is painful? I remember that's a huge thing that you taught me, and realizing like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just go for a walk? Like
Yeah.
you can do that. It's fine. But yeah, in terms of how I run the business now, it's so much more enjoyable. It's so much more suited to me. My weekends are not really any work. If I want to do work, it's because I want to,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
because I've chosen to. It's never a case of I have to work 7 days a week. Same goes with the working hours, like especially with going on different holidays and moving home and everything like that. It really has taught me that I don't need to be spending half as many hours as I was in my business, because a few hours a day can get me the same results as what I was doing earlier, which is awesome because it does also open up the playing field that if I did want to take on new projects, I have the time to do that now. I have the
Yes.
capacity, I have the mental capacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's run so differently, and everything is way more enjoyable. I feel like I've said that so many times,
You're
but
like, it's just one big enjoyment.
it's
And
just
talking
one big
about
fun.
space for new things, halfway through our time together, you did your NLP course
Yes.
and became qualified. And I know mindset has always been like a huge part of what you enjoyed. And I think kind of you understood, you were like, wow, okay, now I see it, and how you could then bring it into your world. And so what's next? What's next? What's coming up? What's going on?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think before I was really into mindset but didn't know how to put it on myself, so I just felt like a fraud. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't talk about mindset because I'm scatty as shit and my mind is not in a good place. So really working with you was like the catalyst, I suppose, for being able to do that. Did my NLP qualification, and then that's really allowed me as a coach to step into more of I call it like a mind body coach, to really help women with emotional eating, to help them with self-sabotage, with the yo-yo dieting, with all of that they think just another diet will fix, which it does not. But in terms of what's coming up, I have just relaunched my Evolve Academy, which is a space for that really. And I'm also moving to Dubai. So
She's off, baby. She's off. I
why
remember
not?
you telling me that, because that's been like such a big goal and dream for you, hasn't it? Like we had that conversation way back when we started together, and I know it felt like it was doable, but not quite the right time. And then boom, it landed, and you were like, "We're doing it," didn't
Flights are booked. See ya. Yeah,
it?
it was.
Yeah.
I think for us, me and my partner, it was actually, without sounding really cringy, but a lot of the work that I've done with you has also helped with my relationships and my friendships and my family and everything like that. And it really gave us the opportunity to like actually having a better understanding of each other, have a better understanding of like how I respond, all of that. And that again, as you've said, has allowed the trip to move forwards from a goal or an idea to like, okay, flights are booked, accommodations booked, we paid all our fees, we're going. Yep.
I'm so excited for you. Like, and I was just like, it's just going to be one big holiday, so she's going to make a fuck ton of money. It's great. Strategy tick.
Literally.
No, but I'm so glad that you've had that experience. And I think from, the Evie that came into the container, and I felt a little bit of emotional when you were saying that, just, but like the Evie that came into the container, that was like, you almost couldn't see a way out. It felt when we were
Yeah.
first talking, you were like, this is what I want, and this is how I want it to be. And I see other people doing it, and I see other people running their business like that and using different strategies than I am now. But I cannot see how it could be any different to like the you now is absolutely incredible, like absolutely incredible to see. What would be like your biggest takeaway from our time together, like your biggest like aha?
It's definitely been all of the subconscious work we've done. I think another one, which is maybe not so subconscious, but when you hold such a great space to open up, but also to call me out.
Yes.
And there was many a time where I was like, I just need the subconscious work. And you're like, girl, you're just repeating this habit. Like sometimes, and I think we can sometimes overcomplicate things and make it mean something that maybe it isn't. And a lot of the things and the behaviors and the thoughts I was repeating actually just need to be called out and gone like, actually, you're not a true thought. Like, this is just a part of you. High parts work.
Yes.
Thank you. This is just a part of you. And she's okay. She's fine to be here. But like,
Yeah.
we don't want her right now. And I think the biggest thing you taught me was how to manage my own mind. when I'd done mindset work in the past, I'd spent a lot of money, a lot of time reading the books, doing the journaling, but never actually getting a huge amount out of it in the long run. It was always very temporary. Like I said at the start, it was I'd do the mindset work and then something bad would happen, or I'd get busy and I'd forget about it. Whereas it's been such long lasting change. We finished working together a few weeks ago and I still do all of the things that you teach me because it's changed my subconscious, we shall say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing really, and just being able to run my business from a place of enjoyment, treat myself with more love and respect that I wasn't doing. I was so filled up with pressure and self negativity that I wasn't further ahead. So
Mm,
yeah, I'd say they were the biggest and the most
yeah.
impactful changes.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, I completely see that. And I think that's the biggest gift for me to give people is, like we can do loads of limiting belief work and tunneling therapy and all of that. But if you don't go out of the container being like, right now I know and understand what to do on a daily basis with my subconscious, like for me, I'm like, that's my biggest job of any container. And I'm so glad that you are still using the tools and still seeing the benefits from it. If someone was to be in the position of like needing to realize that it's the subconscious work and this is where they need to go, what would you say to them?
Read through all of Beck's content and watch her podcast and literally have her call you out in 300 different languages, because that will tell you everything you need to know.
You were like, is this post about me? Is this post about me?
Honestly, everything felt like, oh, you get me. Like you get me over and over again. And I think because I'd had so many different mentors in the past that were very much the hard graft vibe, to then find somebody that like understood me. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is
What
crazy.
is this? Yeah.
What is
She's
this
not telling me
amazing
to do
world?
more homework. She's actually telling me to stop.
Yeah, it was crazy. But honestly, like, binge Beck's podcast, because I learned so much just through your podcast before I even started working with you. I think I've got a notes app with like all the notes that I've made from your podcasts,
I
because
love that.
when you realize like, oh, okay, it's not about doing more DMs, it's not about making more content. If you fix this thing and you work on this thing, you'll stop doing that anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, just don't even hesitate it, because literally it's changed my life.
Oh, I love you. I'm like, yeah, it's just so wonderful to see. And I'm so excited for this next phase of of your life, of the business of Dubai. I'm going to be so jealous because I'm going to be wrapped up in my little newborn world whilst watching you in the sun. But let's kind of transition into you and what you do. And I know we've obviously spoke about it a couple of times, but and I introduced you at the beginning, but let everyone know what you do, how you support people, what your mission is on this little planet Earth.
Gosh, where do I begin? So, I am a health, body, and mindset coach. So, my main role, I would say, and the main women that I help are women that are stuck in the self sabotage, they're stuck emotional eating. They really want to be consistent. And I get it because I've been there with wanting to be consistent with your training. You want to look good, you want to feel toned, you want to feel strong, not just skinny, and doing it in the right way without restriction. A lot of the women that I work with have a lot of guilt around food, whether that be under eating, overeating, sticking to a diet and then eating the bag of Maltesers, and just really struggling to see a way that fitness could be a part of their life sustainably, where it's not a diet anymore. It's not
Mm,
just a diet, it's not just a training plan that you do for a few weeks. It's a whole ass lifestyle change. And I really work to, and my main intention on this planet is to empower women to take control of their health, take control of their minds, their bodies, their lives, in way of, their fitness, their nutrition, their sleep, their stress management. Especially for women, we completely misunderestimate how these things impact us. You can't have a thriving business if your health is in the gutter. You can't have a thriving body if you are riled with stress and anxiety. Your body will not respond. If you are in binge restrict cycles, you're not you're going to have then excess stress on the body as well, which is going to have a knock-on effect. So really what I do is I help women in, it's going to sound a bit of a life coach, I suppose, because we do a lot of things like planning their time, managing their stress, improving their sleep, improving things like the boundaries with their partners, with their kids, with their friends, and helping them achieve their dream bodies, dream health, and make it a fun little lifestyle, because it is really fun. It doesn't have to take away from your life, which so many people think fitness does. It's not about having cold, hard resilience or discipline and waking up at 4 a.m. while someone shouts at you. It's about making it a part of who you are and
Mm.
embodying that in your day to day. And it's my dream job. I love it. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's almost like an identity shift, really, isn't it? Like what you're doing. And I think there was such a big shift. Like, I was very heavily in the fitness space before I went to Australia in 2019. And I think there was such a big shift in the narrative behind fitness. Like I used to go to the gym 3 times a day, be shouted at. And it was and on 1,000 calories a day, literally for quite a long time. But, I did lose weight, but I was really miserable doing it. And I think like there was such a shift in the narrative of the fitness space of like, it has to become sustainable, like, almost like business, really, isn't it? Like it
Mm.
can't be this constant hustle. Like it has to be part of your lifestyle. Otherwise, you're going to like I was constantly going back and forth on that
Yeah.
yo-yo. And I think like the work that you do is so much deeper than a freaking training program, isn't it?
It's insane. A lot of our clients have had multiple PTs and coaches before, which is why I'm really passionate about the mindset side. And it's why I did my NLP qualifications, that just feel like they honestly feel like they're awful humans. They feel like they can't stick to anything. I have so many women, scared to start coaching because they're scared of disappointing me. I'm like, girl, this
Wow.
is your journey. And a lot of that is, as you said, it's down to the mindset, it's down to the identity, it's helping them through, okay, in the past we've self-sabotaged, but how do we let go of that identity now? Because that doesn't have to be who you are. Binge eating and emotional eating, it doesn't have to be who you are. We can actually move away and move through that. But they've labeled themselves often that for so long. They've labeled themselves as someone that hates the gym for so long. It's a lot of mindset work to actually help them create this new reality for themselves. And I always say it from a perspective of long-term health. Like, you're not just doing this for you, you're doing this for your kids. You're doing this so that you can have kids, because,
Mhm.
if you're doing constant yo-yo dieting, your fertility it's not going to be there. You're going to really struggle.
Yeah.
So for me, it's so much more than just how we look. Like, yes, I get it. Like, we all want to look
Of
amazing in a
course.
bikini.
Yeah.
I'm no different. I'm just a girl. Like, that's me too. But also looking at your overall health performance, like, I always get asked, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, because I freaking look after myself. I get my 8
Literally.
hours of sleep. I train hard. I eat well. And they're like, how do you eat so much? Because I train freaking hard. Like,
Yeah.
it's all such a beautiful alignment, really, when you start to train for strength, when you start to train to be your best self, when you start to show up as her. I think it all just falls into place. You're no longer yo-yo dieting. You're no longer in these binge restrict cycles. You're no longer self-sabotaging, because you're actually doing it because it's who you are now. And I think that's the best thing to go through, because it
Yeah.
looks after everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone around you, and it's a shift that will last very long term rather than this like in out. Like I know you always used to say like I'm not the boot camp. I'm not the like the you'll never get like a 4 week lose 200
No.
stone. Like all of that bullshit that goes on. It's like this long term sustainable shift with you, isn't it? And I just love that you stand in that, and that's the type of client that you call in as well, isn't it?
100%. Because you know what? Like, I could get you to lose weight quickly in 8 weeks, but you're going to come back to me in 8 weeks and you're going to have gained all that weight back, and you're going
Yeah.
to be frustrated. You're then going to have limiting, you've created limiting beliefs that you're someone that can't keep the weight off. You're going to repeat that cycle. It's going to turn into self-sabotage. It's going to become who you are. Then everything about you is going to be related to that one thing. And it's just such a vicious cycle that until you start to see things differently, nothing will change. And also, like, I'm a coach. I train 4 times a week, 4 times for 45 minutes to 60 minutes. I do my 10K steps a day. I go for meals out. I eat chocolate every single day. Like, it doesn't have to be shit. You can actually look really good and still enjoy your life because, again, as you said, it is the entire identity shift and it becomes a part of who you are when you stop seeing it as a diet plan or a training plan. You're
Mm.
not on plan or off plan. It's just it's just your life.
The
You're just being
lifestyle,
your
isn't it?
healthiest,
Yeah.
happiest self.
Yeah, and I found like I lost my most amount of weight when the pressure wasn't there. Like when I was literally
Exactly.
being me. Like, yeah, it's so true, isn't it? So true. So how can people find you? Where do they need to go to have a bit of your magic?
So the best place is Instagram. I post all the time because I love chatting, as you could probably tell. So my Instagram is Evie Team EDC. I also have a podcast called Evolve with
Yes.
Evie, which is a little bit more mindsetty than my Instagram. That kind of goes into the layers of understanding the psychology around fitness and your transformation journey. And I also post those on YouTube if you prefer seeing my face. But yeah, that's where to find me.
Amazing. We'll put everything in the show notes, but thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for letting me grill you about our time together and really trying to pull back who the hell you were before we started. But I am very excited for you. I'm excited for this next chapter. I cannot wait to see you kind of literally evolve into Dubai life. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. See everyone next week. Love you all.